Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I've heard many important and really very interesting feedback is from the different distinguished delegates, and I thank them really very much for their input and feedback. That said, I would like to comment on two questions. The first question being on the in reference to what the distinguished delegate on behalf of Djibouti and the distinguished delegate on behalf of Nigeria and African group said on, and my other panelists have already also reacted on the question of what can be done in order for the international community to enforce the existing conventions. And I think first of all, there is a need of a very strong and determined political will on the part of the, let's say, industrialized countries, particularly OECD countries, from which the most of the toxic waste is being shipped to developing countries. Secondly, I think the conventions themselves as instruments should be a little bit more dynamic, and I'm sure that a lot of people are working in that direction, in the sense that it's a very difficult area. I think even legally there exists a lot of legal loopholes. So I think the conventions need to be updated, and the existing gaps should be constantly monitored and closed properly. I think the issue of the political will and resources in the developing countries to be, let's say, destined to the enforcement of the law in the developed countries before the developing countries. Therefore, focusing to the source of the major problem is very important. I think several years back in the European Union, which one of the most advanced and developed regions in the world, there was a project of cooperation between different European parties. And I think I can't recall really the year, but what was very interesting was that in that period, within the framework of that project, they have discovered that actually, if I'm not mistaken, around more than 70% of the export of the toxic waste in Europe was illegal. And I think if that kind of actions are really intensified, then the problem of exporting toxic waste to developing countries would be far less. Another point on which I would like to comment is the access to information, and I think this is a very crucial point, really, not only because as the organization, human rights advocates and other civil society organizations stated, it's not only very important to get the truth, the right truth, but it's also very crucial because in many cases, for instance, the case of in the case of Somalia, but I am sure also other developing countries, the affected population, or some countries for that matter, are not even fully aware of the fact that their environment is really targeted and polluted. So these people, as I said in my intervention, are still living next to highly toxic waste. So we need to make aware and share this information. This is really crucial. And I'd like to add onto that point the fact that there's also a disparity between developed and developing countries in this respect, in the sense that you might have the public opinion in the developed countries might have some sort of access, maybe not 100%, but some sort of access to that kind of information, while in the developing countries you don't have access to the information which is available in the developed countries. And in certain cases, there is an issue of sometimes what's called national interest. That's to say, certain hearings are even secreted and are not made public.